Welcome to Field Notes by me, Zofia Reych, and the title of today's note is The Night School. I'm standing next to the teacher's desk, looking over her shoulder at the class register. She also stares at it, shaking her head in a half-disappointed, half-apologetic manner. In chemistry this semester. My heart is pounding and I feel as though I might cry. Surely this can't be happening. And your attendance was so low that I couldn't give you a pass anyway, she adds. I want to plead but can't make a sound. This is not possible. This can't be. I must explain. Wait a moment, please. Another scenario. I'm sitting on the glossy parquet flooring with my back to the wall of the corridor. In a moment, the teacher will appear to let us into the classroom. There's not much time. I forgot about today's quiz on required reading. The book in my lap is 200 pages long, and there are 12 minutes left before the bell rings. At least the letters are big. Maybe I can figure out the main characters, an outline of the plot. Sudden hope speeds up my pulse, but the din of the recess is too loud. It's too distracting. Somebody just ran past me, nearly tripping on my legs. I need a moment of quiet. I can't do it like this. My breath shortens. Panic is settling in. This makes no sense. I shouldn't even be here. Yet another scene. This time with me standing at the entrance to the school gym. Yes, I know I forgot my PE kit again. I can explain, but the teacher doesn't let me speak. Your PE attendance is way below 50%. Legally, you can't pass the class without at least 50. I know I want to shout, but my explanations will make no sense. Nobody will listen. And I already know what the teacher will say. I'm sorry, but you won't be able to move up next year. Surely you could let me. I will catch up on PE, I promise. Why do I even want to plead? I shouldn't be here. I don't have to be here. Finally, I find my voice. It's okay. I try to be casual, but I'm afraid how ridiculous I sound. I already have my master's. I don't need to pass PE. But the teacher doesn't hear me. She turns away and walks towards her office. Now it really sinks in. There is nothing I can do. Nothing to prove that all this is a terrible mistake, and this is usually when I wake up. My brain takes a split second to come back to reality. For the briefest moment, the possibility that I must repeat the whole year feels like it could be true. The moment passes. I'm back in 2023. I remember my MA diploma hanging on the wall in my mum's apartment. I take a few deep breaths, but they don't banish the unease. Sometimes I think I'd rather have a nightmare. Today I googled it for the first time. Back to school is listed as one of the top anxiety dream scenarios by a few not-so-scientific articles. So now I'm googling back to school anxiety dreams. When New York Times' Jessica Gross confided in her mother about her university-related stress dreams, she was surprised to learn that her grandfather was similarly haunted. She never imagined that an Austrian Jew who barely escaped Holocaust and lost many loved ones to the war would fight in his sleep with his early education. Scientists believe that, quote, we remember more events from late adolescence and early adulthood than from any other stage of our lives, end quote, and call it the reminiscence bomb. If that affects what we dream about later in life, then surely I should be also dreaming about economic hardship as an immigrant in London, about my abusive relationships, or searching deeper in the past about the turbulent relationship between my teenage self and my mother. After all, two egotistic autistics under one roof make for a great nightmare scenario. Still, it is high school PE and chemistry that mostly come back to me in my dreams, perhaps reflecting the fact that during my waking hours I tend to worry about my career. Gross points to the fact that academic tests in our adolescence is usually the first time we experience career-related pressure. Indeed, this reminded me of how much emphasis there used to be on doing well in school as a way of safeguarding my future. I'm rather relieved to find this sensible explanation, and I feel like this might even put an end to my school test night panics. A few weeks ago, after discussing the anxiety dreams with two friends, we decided that when it happens next, I should clearly explain to the teacher that this all is an unfortunate mistake, that I already have my MA, and that I will take my leave now. Sure enough, upon being told I'd have to repeat a year, I was able to shrug my shoulders and walk away. Once, a few nights later, I was back to mute mode again, overpowered by panic. Gross writes of, quote, imagery rehearsal therapy, IRT, which is a type of cognitive behavioral therapy in which the patient is taught how to move from an unpleasant or even traumatic recurring nightmare image to a more pleasant one. Going through this process while you are awake can actually help you rewrite the dreams while you are asleep. End quote. It seems that's what I already managed to achieve once. Perhaps it's only a matter of reinforcement now. Much like Gross, I'm not distressed by my school anxiety dreams enough to warrant going into real therapy, but if I can easily get rid of them myself, then why not? According to one pundit, our dreams are often a reflection of traumatic events from our past which continue to affect us in the present, but the scenarios do not need to correspond with each other directly. Because school stress happens during our formative years, our brains tend to associate it with the feeling of anxiety in general. I guess then that what might classify as an actual trauma doesn't necessarily have to cause anxiety, but more of an immediate fear. Anxiety, which is a kind of chronic stress mixed with fear, is what I'm often struggling with now, and that's why my brain decides to throw it back to school when the emotion appeared for the first time. Dream analyst Jane Theresa Anderson, and to be clear, dream analysis is not a branch of science, believes that rewriting your brain to play out the school scenario with a happy ending can actually affect the way we respond to anxiety-inducing situations in our present-day lives. I'll take that, and no need to be scientific about it, especially that even science can lead to silly mistakes. A bunch of researchers from the Sorbonne proposed that there was a cognitive advantage to dreaming about an exam before actually taking one, and therefore perhaps an advantage to relieving stressful situations in our dreams in general. Among the students they surveyed, those with exam-related dreams were also those who ended up getting higher grades. A likely association, but, as cleverly pointed out by the journalist Jenny Robin, it is as likely that those who studied harder were also the most invested, and therefore more likely to dream about it. Incidentally, they were also best prepared for the test. Another of Robin's useful observations is that anxiety is often the result of taking on too much, and that a similar feeling might have been first experienced during our high school years. And that is certainly true for me, given that, inspired by Hermione Granger, I decided to attend 2 classes at the same time. With no McGonagall to present me with a time changer, I had to make do with doing 2 Russian classes and 1 German in 1 week, and alternating it with 2 German and 1 Russian in another. This was on top of the regular 3 ESL classes I took each week, and 1 Japanese I took in my spare time. Just the memory of this feels overwhelming. Taking on too much is certainly something that I still struggle with today. Better organization, setting priorities, reining in my ADHD, and, perhaps first and foremost, learning to say no might be key to overcoming it. And I suspect that practicing these in my waking hours will help me to finally graduate from the night school. Thank you for listening to Field Notes by me, Zofia Reych. You can find more on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Zofia Reych, or by visiting my website, borntoclimb.net, where you can also find out how to purchase my book, Born to Climb: From Rock Climbing Pioneers to Olympic Athletes.